We have been together for just under a decade and have never wanted to have children. However, as the wedding approaches, my partner is now getting cold feet and thinks it's the right thing to do. I don't want to leave them, but I cannot agree to having children as it's not part of my life plan, and I can't stand them. My partner, until recently, felt the same way. Any advice would be appreciated. I do not want to hear that it will make things better or enrich our lives. Story 1. You need to have a mature conversation with your partner to determine where you both stand on the issue of having children. It is unacceptable for one of you to want children while the other does not. This is a serious deal breaker, and continuing the relationship under these circumstances will likely lead to resentment for both of you. The best course of action may be to end the relationship if you cannot reach a mutual agreement. Story 2. That is one of the most serious incompatibilities that exist. You do not need us to tell you what needs to happen. If you do not want children, do not waste the life of someone who does. Story 3. Kids, money, religion, location. If you aren't compatible on those four, you need to question if the relationship is right. Story 4. Make it very clear before you get married that you are not going to change your mind on this. Be prepared to follow through decisively, and mentally prepare yourself for the fact that this kind of fundamental incompatibility often damages relationships. Calling off a wedding is difficult. It feels like a public admission of failure to everyone you know and love, but it is far easier than raising a child that you didn't want. Story 5. Even if she seemingly agrees that while she wants children, she wants to be with you more, so she will postpone that, I would be very concerned that she might get pregnant unintentionally. She would take the decision out of your hands. As others have said, it's fine that she wants children, but she needs to be with a man who also wants them. You are not that man. Story 6. You both need to have a serious conversation about this. You should encourage her to express her feelings, and you need to do the same. If her feelings about having children have truly changed and now she wants to start a family while yours have not, it's best to part ways now before wasting any more of each other's time. If that's what she really wants, it is better to end things quickly so she can move on and find someone who shares her life goals. If this is the case, remember it's not a failure on your part at this point. People change, which is part of life, and sometimes those changes can make two people incompatible. All that said, any time you choose to postpone this is on you. It is best to have this talk with her as soon as possible. Don't lead her on with hopes that she will change her mind or that you can talk her around. If she is serious about it, then you both are just not meant to be. Story 7. You received information that has now changed. If you accepted a job with a $100,000 salary and it suddenly changed to $50,000, would you still accept it? Would anyone judge you for declining the new offer? No. That being said, you need to be very clear in a conversation about your original plans and what you want. If she has deviated from that, then this may not be a relationship with longevity. Resentment, anger, and dissatisfaction will ensue for both of you. It is perfectly okay for you not to want children. It is also okay that she wants children. It is unfortunate that she changed her mind after the engagement, no doubt. However, you aren't married yet, and there is still time to reconsider before things become more complicated in a marriage. Story 8.1. Stop having intimate relations. End the relationship. This is one of the most fundamental incompatibilities you can experience. She may have changed her mind because she believes your future together is secure now that you are engaged. I am not certain, but I do know that once a woman brings this topic up and you, as a man, do not want children, it is essential to immediately stop intimate relations and prevent pregnancy. If you do not, she may find ways to accidentally get pregnant, and then you could be responsible for the next 21 years or more. Be smart in this situation. Ending the relationship or becoming a father are now your only two options. Story 9. You will need to use condoms for the rest of your life, as you may never trust her if she says she is on birth control. Consider getting a vasectomy to avoid future surprises. Be thankful she revealed this now, rather than after the wedding. Story 10. Now that she has expressed her intentions clearly, she is determined to become pregnant regardless of your feelings on the matter. Engaging in intimacy with her now poses a significant risk for you. This situation occurs frequently. If you are resolute in your decision, end the relationship immediately, as she is committed to having the baby. Story 11. Nobody can decide for you if you want children or not. But it's important. Sit down, discuss it, and figure out what you want. Do not get married with such a significant issue between you. Either you are on the same page or you need to end the relationship. Story 12. Kids are a significant responsibility. There is no reason to change your opinion on it. In my opinion, they do have many benefits, but I am not trying to convince you of that. You need to be honest with her. That is the essence of it. That is life. Good luck either way. Additionally, if she truly wants them, do not let her give in to your wishes. That is not fair. Call it off for now. Maybe even downgrade to friends if either of you needs to. Story 13. You are standing at a major crossroads, and it is crucial to navigate this with transparency and integrity. The focus on children is a substantial shift in life trajectory, like signing up to be a passenger on a flight to a new destination. You must both agree on the flight plan. Communicate your position firmly and compassionately. It is not just about preventing an unplanned pregnancy. It is about preventing a lifetime of divided paths and discontent. Embrace the gravity of the situation and act with foresight. Marriage is a partnership with aligned goals. Without agreement on this critical issue, it is a partnership destined for turbulence. Story 14. If you are determined not to have children, do not marry her. I am fine being childless as long as I am with you, until she sabotages her birth control, pokes holes in the condoms, or pressures you into having a child. The urge to pass on genes is very strong in all animals. If you are going to stay, get a vasectomy, inform her, and definitely get a prenuptial agreement. Story 15. You sit her down, tell her this is non-negotiable for you, and discuss the end of your relationship. Ask her why she wants children. Why is she telling you now after a decade? When did she change her mind? Does she actually want children now? Or does she feel like she is supposed to? A yes and a maybe can work. A no and a maybe can work. A yes and a no cannot. Many people, especially women, get into a relationship and hear what they want to hear. For example, you say, I don't want children, and she hears, I don't want children yet. It can become really difficult when you are very into the other person, and you hold on to the lie you tell yourself, hoping they will have a change of heart. It's a tough conversation to have, but it is necessary. No child deserves a parent who did not want them. Good luck. Story 16. It seems a bit late to change the ground rules. Is this being presented as a deal breaker? Story 17. Do not marry. If she wants children, she deserves a partner who is fully committed, not uncertain or half-hearted. Do not waste her time, even for a single day. Women's fertility indicates that if she might want children someday, she has much less time than she realizes. Please, for her sake, do not get married. It will be difficult now, but much harder to be divorced in 5 years, having wasted her prime fertility years. Speaking from personal experience, my former partner never told me that he did not want children until after 1 year into the marriage. It took me 4 more years to free myself from the emotional aftermath. I am still facing the consequences and likely will for the rest of my life. Story 18. This is a tough situation and can genuinely break your relationship. I'm not saying she had to stand firm on this decision, but changing it without discussion or any real conversation makes it tougher. My best advice is to sit down and talk with her to understand each other's stances. I know you're saying that she's changed her mind, but you have to make it clear that you still do not want children. Honestly, it's either you convince her to change back, she convinces you to change, or you face separation. If no one wants to change their mind but compromises for the other's sake, there will be resentment, and that's just horrible. For what it's worth, my wife did not want children when we met. She made it clear, and because of personal experiences, she seemed to stand firm. I have no problem with that. I was and still am undecided. I would like kids, but I am not going to get upset if I never have my own. I can adopt, and that's fine too. Her older brother just had 2 children, and they are adorable. We go over to help watch them about once a week, and I genuinely love them. When we get home, my wife wants to have some fun, and when we're done, she tells me, I kind of want kids now because I think you'd be a great father. It turns me on. It's not the most valid reason, but I can tell she's inching closer to changing her mind. Story 19. This is disappointing. However, it doesn't make sense to marry someone who has vastly different life goals than you. This is a deal-breaker incompatibility if you're both firm on what you want. I apologize. Story 20. Have a good conversation about what you want and make the choice together. Make your thoughts clear and let your partner explain the reason for the change. You may decide to stay together or you might decide to separate. Communication is the best approach. Story 21. You can't control her biological clock. End the relationship. Without support, she may change her mind again or find a sperm donor. You have no control here except for your desires and limits. You cannot change anyone but yourself. Story 22. My uncle married someone who initially did not want children but later desired them. They divorced. He is now remarried and has a child. This is a fundamental issue that cannot simply be agreed upon. Unfortunately, despite the investment in each other, this situation has led to an impasse. As difficult as it may be, it is better to part ways now than to invest further in a marriage where one partner may become resentful due to differing hopes and expectations. Story 23. If it's the right thing to do is the only reason to have children, it is not a good enough reason. I would question if she truly wants that. When I got married, my mind fed me thoughts about what kind of wife I was supposed to be according to traditional relationship values. I had to work through those thoughts to realize that it was not who I wanted to be. Perhaps she is a bit stuck on the idea that there should always be a progression from relationship to engagement to marriage to children. Story 24. Do not have sexual relations with her anymore. You have no idea the extreme lengths individuals will go to in order to have children when they decide they want to. Consider getting a vasectomy as soon as possible. You seem certain that you do not want children, so unless there is any medical reason not to, I highly recommend the procedure. You need to inform your partner that having children is not an option for you, and her sudden change of heart on the matter is concerning. I would also suggest calling off the engagement in this situation, as this is a fundamental incompatibility that cannot be compromised. It will likely lead to resentment on one or both sides. I'm really sorry about this. Story 25. Probably the biggest incompatibility a couple can face is differing opinions on having children. There is no compromise when it comes to kids. It's a grounds for breaking up. Children are not something to try out. There is no return policy, and you risk ruining multiple lives. This decision must be unanimous or not at all. Story 26. The last thing this world needs is more unwanted children being born to parents who never wanted them in the first place. Story 27. Don't fall for the sunk cost fallacy. This is a non-starter, and these issues do not disappear simply because you had a conversation. Do you know if she genuinely never wanted children? If so, perhaps something recent changed her mind, which is worth discussing. But I will make a completely pointless guess. It is about the biological clock. Story 28. My friend has a few children that he didn't want. His wife pressured him to have a child when her friend became pregnant. He seems unhappy, and his wife doesn't understand why he struggles with engaging in activities with the kids. Every child deserves to be loved. Don't put yourself, your partner, or a child through that. It's unfortunate, but perhaps you both would be better off as friends. Story 29. There is never a right thing to do. It is so sad that society thinks they have to have a child to fully function and contribute. Story 30. Consider getting a vasectomy if you do not want children. Take responsibility and do not leave it for your partner or any future partners to undergo contraception. Story 31. This is not a decision you can make for your partner. If you set up this relationship without considering children, she cannot just decide that she needs them in her life now. This is a significant issue. Do not feel guilty if you have to end the relationship over this. Story 32. Break up. Do you think you can force her to agree with you? It doesn't work that way either. Story 33. If this is a deal breaker for her, step away. If you don't want children and she does, this situation will not work. You risk your entire future by marrying her, especially if you give in and have a child. End the relationship before it worsens. This was not a sudden decision. She has been hoping to secure you all along. Leave before you find yourself in front of a judge ordering you to pay alimony or child support. I'm sorry things didn't work out. Story 34. Having kids is a two-answer question. Yes or no. There is no in-between, and people are allowed to change their minds. However, if they do, they need to realize what can happen if they don't want them. Break it off. Story 35. Make a choice. Stay with her and agree to have children, or do not agree to have children and break off the engagement. It might be a hard choice to make, but it is not a difficult one to face. Story 36. Have an honest conversation and let them know that a life with you will be without children. See how it goes. Maybe you will part ways, maybe you won't, or maybe they will try to persuade you. Story 37. Children are a deal breaker for me. It sounds like you're changing your opinion. That's okay. But don't marry me thinking you'll change my mind. Story 38. This situation is difficult, and I apologize for that. It's time to end the relationship, and you know it. Waiting will only prolong the process. Regardless of your choice, it's important to consider a vasectomy. If you have sexual intercourse again before getting the vasectomy and subsequent testing, use a condom that has been in your possession the entire time. Story 39. As the wedding approaches, first and foremost, do not marry her before you have resolved this. Frankly, at this point, you should not be marrying her at all. Story 40. Be thankful you found this out now while engaged and not after marriage. This is a fundamental compatibility issue. You two are not compatible, and you need to either have children or end the relationship. Story 41. End the engagement and go back to being single. Why do you want to get married if you do not want children? To me, that is the only reason I would even consider marriage. Otherwise, I see no reason to sign that document and hand over control of my life to this woman and the government. Story 42. You need to sit down and talk it out to understand where you both stand. My wife began to experience some baby fever when her colleagues and friends became pregnant. That feeling faded once she noticed how exhausted many of these women were and how many people in her department were getting divorced despite having young children. Story 43. I had a similar experience, but in reverse. We dated for years and eventually got married. I wanted children, and we had discussed it frequently. She even agreed that she also wanted children. About a year after our marriage, I started bringing up conversations about having a child, and she just deflected, dismissed, and changed the subject. This eventually led to an unrelated argument where the topic was brought up, and she broke down and confessed that she never wanted to have children. We divorced a year later. The decision to have a child is a significant life choice. If you and your partner are not on the same page, it will likely lead to one of you getting your way while the other resents it. The best advice is to have a serious conversation with her and tell her that you have no intention of ever having children and that you cannot stand them, and nothing will change your mind. Otherwise, she may come to her own conclusions about your feelings. In my opinion, this is a major life-changing decision on which neither of you agrees, and therefore this relationship is over. Story 44. Remain firm in asserting your boundaries and don't get trapped. I would wager that even if she budges, it will become a topic again later. Be careful what you commit to. Story 45. Curious, have any of her friends or family members had children recently? She may not have had a well-thought-out position on the topic and may have adopted your views, but exposure to children can change someone's perspective on whether they want to have children or not. Story 46. Leave her. You want different things, and any compromise is likely to cause hurt. Let her go and find someone who can give her what she wants, while you find someone who wants what you want. Story 47. Don't get married. It will hurt to break the engagement and lose the relationship, but that is going to happen anyway if she truly wants children and you do not. It will only be with a lot more pain. Story 48. You are stuck in a difficult situation because you will have to make a choice that you do not want to face. This means either leaving her or agreeing to have a child. You cannot change her desire for a child any more than she can change your feelings about wanting one. I am sorry you are in this situation. It is frustrating when you are honest with someone and they consent only to change their mind later. I wish more people were self-aware and confident in their decisions. We would all be better off for it. Story 49. Breakup decisions, particularly regarding children, are serious choices. If you and your partner cannot agree, it will create lasting tension in your relationship. You will either be the person who denied them one of life's greatest values, or they will be the one who undermined the life you currently have. It is essential to be fully committed to this aspect of your relationship. Story 50. My ex revealed this to me after 11 years of planning a child-free life, saying she thought I would eventually change and want kids. We split, and I no longer trust what people claim. Story 51. Talk to her and find out why she has changed her mind, but be prepared to walk away if necessary. It's not an ideal situation. She may be feeling pressure from her parents about grandchildren and believes that marriage leads to children. I have 2 kids and love them dearly, but raising children is not easy. They can often require significant financial and emotional resources, and we hope they grow up to be well-adjusted individuals. Good luck. On a side note, consider getting a vasectomy. Once that is taken care of, it will reduce the risk of unexpected pregnancies from your perspective. Story 52. Your fiancé wants children, and you do not. This is a simple but hard truth. You are no longer compatible. You should separate. There is no compromise when it comes to having children. You either have them or you do not. If you do not want them, that is completely okay. Neither you nor your fiancé should try to convince each other to have children. The kind thing to do is to separate and go your separate ways. Story 53. Would she be getting major pushback from her parents to have kids? From her friends or coworkers to have kids? Her saying, "It's the right thing to do," makes it sound like she doesn't want them, but other people want her to want them. Story 54. If you do not want one and she does, that is a deal breaker. At minimum, pause to discuss it, even if it means putting all the wedding plans on hold. This is important and requires both of your full attention. How much time you have been together is now a footnote. Story 55. If she is adamant about having children, and you are adamant about never having them, it is all going to crash down sooner or later and end. Children are one of those deal breakers in a relationship if you are not both on the same page with it. If she is set on having them, then I would not proceed with the wedding. It would just be in vain. Based on your description, I have to wonder if she is saying that due to having cold feet and using it as an excuse to get out of the wedding. I cannot say for certain that this is what she is doing, as I do not know either of you, but it is a possibility. Story 56. It is the right thing to do. According to whom? Is this her desire or is it outside pressure? Either way, you're heading toward a breakup. Either she genuinely wants something you cannot provide, or she is allowing outside pressure to heavily influence her decisions regarding your relationship. If that's the case and she does not recognize and address it immediately, you are not in a position to get married. Story 57. Sorry, but that is the kind of issue one should reconsider the engagement for. The question of whether or not to have children in a relationship is a fundamental compatibility issue where there is no compromise. If you get married, either you both have children and are unhappy, or you both do not have children and she is unhappy. While there is a possibility that one of you might come around to the other's perspective, you cannot rely on that happening. Marrying in the hopes that one of you will change your mind is not only unwise but also a waste of each other's time. Story 58. I would end the relationship now without regrets. Why do you need to get married after all these years? She will likely be unhappy if you stay together and remain set in your ways. Don't worry. She will find love quickly since there are many people looking for companionship. I estimate your chances of taking this advice at 0.5%. Story 59. It's time for an open discussion. You don't want children and have never wanted them. She needs to decide whether she prefers to be child-free with you or to explore other options that include the possibility of having children. I always advise against ultimatums. Simply express your feelings and what you need. She may be upset, but it's better to resolve this before considering marriage. Story 60. This is a deal breaker. Personally, as someone who has a child, I would never want more. If I were to pursue a relationship, It would be with someone who already has children and is fine with being a step-parent, or with someone who doesn't mind children but doesn't need biological ones. Story 61. Break up. It's over. I was very open with my wife when we dated. I didn't want kids, and if she changed her mind, we would be done. Story 62. There are 3 options. You can be okay with having kids, your fiancé can be okay with not having kids, or you can split up and find new partners who share your views. Story 63. Walk away. Relationships are hard enough without kids that you don't want, but could surely fall in love with. It's a recipe for heartache and despair. Story 64. The simple answer is to end the relationship. Having children is a non-negotiable issue. If you do not fully agree, it is best to end the relationship. Story 65. Here's a secret about child-free couples I've witnessed as I have gotten older. They fit into 3 categories. 1. Visibly upset about missing out on kids, constantly asserting that they do not regret their choice, which often makes conversations awkward. Divorced because one partner decided they did want children, having children before it became too late. So far, there have been no exceptions. Literally every child-free couple I've encountered fits into these categories. Story 66. The only thing you can do is leave or talk to her and find out why she suddenly wants children. If she truly desires children and you do not, then the 2 of you are no longer compatible. It is unfortunate to say, but those are 2 very different lifestyles that do not align. Story 67. You don't say how old you are, but relationships that start before age 25 are more likely to break up, partly because who you are at age 21 is not the same as who you are at age 31. This is not an issue that can be resolved. If she wants 4 children and you want none, compromising on 2 does not resolve the situation. Story 68. Update on the situation? Please be cautious moving forward, as she may attempt to become pregnant with you. I have seen this happen before. Story 69. Walk up to her, give her a firm, crisp handshake, and wish her the best. You shouldn't have children to please her, and she shouldn't refrain from having children to please you. You'll both find someone else. It feels difficult now, but it won't last forever. Story 70. It's something you can't compromise on. You can't have a timeshare baby 1 day a week, and if she has a strong desire for a child, she's not going to let it go. Story 71. When you say, "We have never wanted to have children," do you mean you? It might be that she thought it was not a hard line, and as the wedding date approaches, she begins to see clearly that her position is more flexible. You are not compatible. Story 72. Do not feel pressured to have children if that is not something you genuinely want. Doing so may lead to many issues for the child later when they realize they were not fully wanted by one of their parents. This is a critical matter, so have a serious conversation with your partner about it. Story 73. I've noticed that most online spaces encourage breakups when someone posts about even the slightest issue in a relationship. No one really knows how to build or maintain a healthy relationship. This is honestly a poor source for relationship advice. A decade is a long time. You shouldn't let strangers influence a significant decision like this. Ask family. Ask people in your life who have been successfully married for decades. Don't seek advice from those who have never experienced a lasting and healthy relationship. Story 74. You have to weigh the pros and cons of having children. It's a decision as to whether you want to marry her, knowing her ambitions. If you are sure you don't want kids, no matter the circumstances, you 2 are ultimately incompatible. It is unfair to both of you if you have opposite ambitions. All you can do is have an adult conversation about this. In the meantime, be careful that she doesn't try to manipulate you into having children. She may make a great mother, but if the decision to have kids is not mutual, you might find yourself resenting her and the child if it happens. Story 75. I have witnessed the emotional journey of couples regarding having children, where individuals who sacrifice their vision for the future often feel resentment. This resentment can be directed at their partner for not wanting children, or even towards the children themselves in cases where they chose to have them. The dynamics of this topic may vary between individuals, but effective communication is crucial. Having an honest and open conversation, where both partners express their thoughts without holding back, can be uncomfortable, and the outcome might be difficult. However, it is a healthy way to address the issue and find resolution. Story 76. End the relationship because you are not compatible. It is wrong to engage in a non-procreative sexual relationship, even if the other person claims it is what they want. Denying someone the ability to procreate, which is a fundamental aspect of life, is inherently wrong. Every living being, not just humans, has the right to procreate. Your best option is to seek a partner who is infertile. Story 77. Obviously, don't marry her if you don't agree on basic fundamental ideas. Pause the wedding if possible and ensure everyone is on board. Story 78. Please do not have children if you do not want them. If she wants children and you continue to engage in sexual activity, you will likely have a child. Story 79. You might want to ensure she genuinely wants children and is not feeling pressured by friends, family, or external influences. I don't know how old your fiancé is, but women approaching 30 often feel significant pressure to get married or become pregnant. Interestingly, similar pressures arise as they near 40. When everyone on your social media feed is posting pictures of heart hands on bellies, and your friends are discussing their fertility journeys, having children can seem like a more appealing idea than it might otherwise. If she truly wants children, that's great. You can wish her well with a compatible future partner and free yourself to find a woman who shares your desires. If she realizes she's been spending too much time online, that's fine too, and you may have saved her from something she would regret. Story 80. Just set her free to find someone who will have children with her. The sooner, the better, if you are sure you do not want children with her. It is okay to change your mind about these important matters. Definitely do not get married now. This relationship should end as soon as possible. If you happen to stay together, she may eventually resent you for blocking her wish to become a mother. You might need to help her break free from this relationship. It is the best thing to do. Good luck. Story 81. It's more likely she always wanted kids but told you what you wanted to hear. She was playing the long game, hoping you would change your mind. That's why she did this close to the wedding, to put more pressure on you. Story 82. It seems they may have lied about not wanting children, perhaps hoping you would change your mind, and are only bringing it up now because of the wedding. Alternatively, they may have suddenly developed a desire for children. In either case, that represents nearly a decade of your life wasted. Children are not something you can simply experiment with. Once you have them, you are committed. I strongly advise you to leave this relationship, as this represents a significant incompatibility. If you choose to stay, despite her suddenly being okay with not having children when you clearly do not want them, consider getting a vasectomy to avoid the risk of an unintended pregnancy, which could lead to a situation where you have no say in the matter. Story 83. Let her leave you and marry someone who wants children. Children are the greatest blessing in the world, and I would hate for her to miss out on them. Story 84. Meh, just cave in and go for it. More people, that's what this planet needs right now. Seriously, if you must raise a child, consider adoption. Story 85. You may want children one day, but either you will change your mind or another person will influence your perspective on having kids. However, it is clear that your stance is no, and it remains no. Being pressured into having children when you have clearly stated your decision only leads to misfortune and pain. Story 86. What you need to do is take responsibility for your own reproductive system. Consider getting a vasectomy if you are serious about this. If you do not want children and do not take responsibility, leading to an unplanned pregnancy, you will create unhappiness for at least 3 people. Both you and your partner will feel discontent, but ultimately, it is the child who is not wanted by both parents that will be most affected, as the child had no say in the matter. An unplanned pregnancy can also occur if you rely solely on condoms, as they can fail or become less effective with improper use. If you do not want children, you must understand that every time you engage in sexual activity, even with a condom, there is a risk involved. It will be your responsibility if an unplanned pregnancy occurs, regardless of how slim the chances may be. Story 87. Women change when marriage approaches, often in drastic and significant ways. Unless you have a serious conversation with multiple follow-ups on this topic, you may not fully understand these changes. They may also become more demanding or request things from you that they did not ask for before. Can feel like awakening a sleeper agent at times. Story 88. Based on your post history, I would not want you to raise children either. You do not seem mature enough for it. Story 89. You can simply say that you do not want children. There is no need to mention that you can't stand them just because you were an annoying kid as well. Story 90. If you have been together for a decade, a few more years won't hurt. Call off the wedding and maintain the engagement. You are in control. It takes two people to have children, so if you do not want children, it will not happen. If you are certain, consider a vasectomy. Consider freezing sperm samples beforehand if you want to protect your options. You do not need to disclose this to your partner until after the fact if you decide to at all. Finally, if you must separate, it would be better for her to leave you than for you to leave her. Story 91. You may begin to perceive children differently when they are your own. However, it is also likely that you and your partner are about to part ways. Story 92. It seems like you truly care about her. You might be devastated at the thought of ending things. Are you sure you'd prefer a life without her, without children, rather than a life with her, with 1 or 2 kids? I'm not trying to pressure you, but for what it's worth, having children can be enjoyable. They bring a lot of joy when they are young, but it can feel a bit empty when they leave home at age 18. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.